So ready to transform your iPhone 16 Pro Max into like a total photography powerhouse?
Sounds like it.
We've got a mountain of articles and forum discussions here, all about, really getting the most out of your iPhone photography skills.
Right.
So get ready for a deep dive into all the new features, pros, settings, and insider tips to really level up your photos.
Yeah, what's really exciting is that the difference between just casual smartphone photography and professional grade results, that line's getting blurrier and blurrier.
Mm-hmm.
The iPhone 16 Pro series is a perfect example of that, just with the hardware and software they've got packed in there.
Okay, let's unpack some of that.
Yeah.
First up, both the iPhone 16 Pro and Pro Max now have a triple lens system.
Right.
So we've got a 48MP ultra wide, a 48MP main lens, and a 12MP 5x telephoto.
Mm-hmm.
No more of that Max-only advantage with the telephoto.
Nope, that's gone. That's history.
Yeah.
Which is huge for pro users who want flexibility without sacrificing quality.
For sure.
But, let's not get too focused on megapixels.
Right.
There's this other feature that's creating a lot of buzz.
Yeah.
The dedicated camera control button.
Ooh, yes. Tell me more about this.
Okay.
I'm seeing a lot of articles just raving about it.
Yeah.
Claiming it's the fastest way to launch the camera app.
It is. It really is.
Faster even than some third-party apps.
It is. And speed is key, especially when you're trying to capture a
fleeting moment.
Yeah, fleeting moment. But it's more than just a quick launch button.
Yeah.
You can swipe on it to adjust your zoom, your exposure, depth of field.
Wow.
All without even going into menus.
Oh, it's putting more control right at your fingertips.
Yeah, exactly.
That sounds super handy. But I am seeing some mixed reviews from forum users.
Mm-hmm.
Some are saying that they find the button placement a bit awkward.
Yeah, I can see that.
Especially for those vertical shots.
Yeah.
And others say the touch sensitivity takes a little getting used to.
I think that's understandable.
Yeah.
New features always come with a bit of a learning curve.
Mm-hmm.
It seems like this button's one of those love it or hate it kind of things.
Yeah.
It might be the perfect shortcut for some people.
Right.
But for others, it might just feel like an extra step.
So it really comes down to just personal preference.
Yeah.
How you like to shoot.
Mm.
Experiment and see if it fits into your workflow.
Exactly.
Yep.
Speaking of experimentation.
Okay.
Let's talk about some of the settings that allow for greater creative control.
Okay.
We need to talk about Apple ProRAW.
Oh,
That's your gateway to serious editing power.
I've heard photographers raving about ProRAW.
Yeah.
But honestly, I'm a bit intimidated by it.
Yeah.
It sounds very, very pro.
Yeah.
What even is a RAW file?
Okay, so think about it this way.
Okay.
Imagine you're baking a cake from scratch.
Okay.
You have all your raw ingredients, right? Flour, sugar, eggs.
Yeah.
You can combine them in a million different ways to create all these different flavors and textures.
Right.
That's what a raw photo file is like.
Okay.
It gives you all the raw image data that's captured by the sensor,
Okay.
which allows for maximum flexibility when you're editing later.
Okay.
So you can adjust things like white balance, exposure, color, temperature
Yeah.
with much more precision than you could with just a standard JPEG.
So it's like having a digital negative almost.
Exactly.
That lets you tweak the image however you want.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But there's a catch.
Oh.
Those files are huge.
Okay.
One article mentioned a single unedited image could be 60 millibit.
Wow. Okay.
So if you're planning on shooting in ProRAW, make sure you have enough storage.
That's a lot of storage.
It is.
Maybe cloud storage or a larger iPhone is
Right.
in order for the serious ProRAW enthusiast.
Definitely something to consider.
Yeah.
And while we're talking about advanced settings, let's not forget photographic styles.
Okay.
Remember those from the previous iPhones?
Yeah, those were just preset filters,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah, warm, cool, vibrant.
Yeah.
Not anymore.
Mm.
They've gone from just basic filters to powerful tools that let you control the tone and feel of your image.
Really?
Yeah, think of them as customizable presets
Okay.
that adjust elements like highlights, shadows, contrast.
Okay.
And here's the cool part.
Yeah.
You can tweak them even after taking the photo.
So it's like having a mini editing studio right there in the settings.
Exactly.
That's way more sophisticated than just slapping on a filter later.
Right. You're getting more control over the final look right from the get-go.
Mm-hmm.
And then the best part is these photographic styles work seamlessly with other features like ProRAW.
Oh, very cool.
Yeah.
Okay, so we've gone over some of the more technical bells and whistles.
Yeah.
But I'm curious about like the more practical side of
Yeah.
things.
Mm-hmm.
What are some like real world tips for taking better pictures with this iPhone 16 Pro Max?
Well, there's a ton of advice in these forum discussions from like really experienced iPhone photographers.
Okay.
And, a lot of it just comes down to good, like old-fashioned photography fundamentals.
Like what? Tell me more.
One common thing I'm seeing is the importance of holding your iPhone steady,
Okay.
especially when you're using that camera control button. Some users are even saying like, hold it like a DSLR.
Wow.
Use a button like a physical shutter release.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
Because I've definitely noticed like my photos are blurrier when I'm just kind of quickly tapping the screen to take a picture.
Right, yeah, because a stable camera is key for sharp images,
Right.
no matter what device you're using.
Yeah.
And that's even more important when you're shooting in low light,
Mm-hmm.
where the shutter needs to stay open longer
Okay.
to capture enough light.
Speaking of light,
Yeah.
I'm seeing a lot of discussion about using natural light to your advantage.
Yeah, light is like the foundation of photography. It's what shapes your subject, it creates mood,
Yeah.
atmosphere. And the great thing about the iPhone 16 Pro Max is that it's just so good at capturing natural light.
I'm always drawn to those photos that have that like beautiful, soft, natural light.
Mm-hmm. One tip I see repeated over and over again is to embrace cloudy days.
Really?
Yeah.
I always thought sunny days were ideal for photography.
I know, right?
But now I'm thinking maybe I should be looking forward to overcast days.
You should, because cloudy skies act like a giant diffuser.
Okay.
So they create this soft, even light,
Okay.
which is perfect for portraits, landscapes. You avoid those harsh shadows and blown-out highlights
Okay.
that you can sometimes get with direct sunlight.
So it's like nature's softbox.
Exactly.
Right. Overcast days from now on.
Yes.
Cloudy days.
But if you do find yourself shooting in bright sunlight,
Yeah.
pay attention to how you're angling your subject
Okay.
towards the light source.
Uh-huh.
You can create beautiful rim lighting and highlights
Okay.
that add like dimension to your pictures.
This reminds me of an article we have here
Mm.
from a professional photographer, Bryony Douglas.
Yes.
She actually used the iPhone 16 Pro Max
I remember this.
to shoot a portrait series for a magazine.
It's amazing to see like professional photographers embracing iPhone photography.
Totally. Totally.
Yeah.
And her advice in the article echoes a lot of what we're seeing in the forums.
Mm-hmm.
She talks about using exposure compensation
Yes.
to control the brightness of your photos,
It's important.
especially in those challenging lighting situations.
Absolutely. And that camera control button makes it so easy
Yeah.
to adjust the exposure like right there in the moment.
Right, on the fly.
Yeah.
Douglas mentions using it to create like those dramatic shots with neon signs where you want to make sure that the sign's exposed properly,
Right.
but without like blowing out the rest of the picture.
Good balancing act.
See, this is where my brain starts to get a little fuzzy.
Yeah.
Exposure, ISO, shutter speed.
It can be a lot.
I tend to stick with the automatic settings.
And that's totally fine.
Yeah.
The iPhone's automatic settings do a really great job most of the time.
Okay.
But if you want to like really take your photography to the next level,
Yeah.
understanding the relationship between all those elements,
Mhm.
it can give you a lot more control over your final image.
It's like learning to drive a car,
Yeah.
right?
Yes.
You can stick with automatic transmission,
Uh,
but if you understand how manual transmission works,
yeah.
it gives you that extra level of control.
And precision.
Yeah.
And just like learning to drive, it takes practice.
Right.
So, start by experimenting with one element at a time,
Okay.
like exposure compensation.
Mm-hmm.
You'll be surprised how much of a difference even small adjustments can make.
Okay. Noted. I'll try to play around with that.
Yeah.
Now back to Douglas's tips.
Yeah.
She also talks about using different perspectives
Right.
to evoke different moods in your photos.
Uh-huh.
Like shooting from below can create a sense of empowerment.
Yeah.
But shooting from above can make your subject appear, smaller or vulnerable.
It's not just about what you're shooting.
Right.
It's about how you're shooting it.
Yeah.
Composition is key. Think about the angle, leading lines, rule of thirds.
Okay.
All those elements that make a picture really visually compelling.
I've always loved portrait mode on the iPhone.
It's so good.
And Douglas is a big fan too.
Yeah.
She says it instantly elevates any photo. especially when you take the time to properly frame your subject.
Yeah, and portrait mode is so versatile.
Yeah.
And with the iPhone 16 Pro, you have even more control.
Okay.
Remember that depth data we talked about?
Yeah.
You can actually now choose between a portrait shot and a live photo
Why?
after you've taken the picture.
Wow, that's amazing.
I know, so many options.
So many options.
Yeah, it's giving you so much more flexibility and creative control.
That's awesome.
Yeah. And one last piece of advice from Douglas. And it's maybe the simplest but most important.
Okay, hit me.
Clean your lens.
Ooh, that's a good one.
Yeah, it's so easy to forget about.
Yeah.
But like a smudge on your lens can totally ruin a photo.
I'm making a mental note.
Yes.
Add clean lens to my pre-shoot checklist.
Yes, it's so simple, but makes such a difference.
For sure.
Now, before we move on,
Yeah.
there's one more area we need to explore.
What?
Spatial
There.
photos and videos.
Yes. The iPhone 16 Pro takes it a step further with spatial photos,
I know.
adding to the spatial video capability we saw in the 15 series.
It's pretty wild.
It opens up like a whole new dimension for photography.
Literally.
Literally, yeah.
Yeah.
It's like a glimpse into the future of photography where pictures become like these immersive experiences.
Yes.
Imagine like capturing a family gathering
Mm-hmm.
or a breathtaking landscape
Right.
and being able to revisit it in 3D.
Yes. The possibilities are like endless.
Apple describes spatial photos as containing like left and right eye images,
Uh-huh.
along with spatial metadata.
Right.
They look 2D on most devices,
Yeah.
but they become 3D when viewed on the Vision Pro.
It's wild.
It's like stepping into a whole new world.
It really is.
It's an exciting time to be a mobile photographer.
It is. It is.
That's for sure.
With all these new features and advancements,
Mhm.
the only limit is your own creativity.
All right, before we get too carried away with like all the future possibilities,
Yeah.
let's ground ourselves in the present.
Right.
We've explored a ton of amazing iPhone 16 Pro Max camera features and tips.
We have.
What are you most excited to try?
Oh, man.
What's got your creative juices flowing? I'm honestly feeling inspired to try it all.
Yeah.
Pro RAW, the new photographic styles, experimenting with those different perspectives. What about you? What's standing out to you the most?
You know, it's tough to choose just one thing.
Yeah.
But I think what's really, really interesting is how these camera advancements could like ripple out and change how we use our iPhones for things beyond photography and videography.
Ooh, I like where you're going with this.
Yeah.
What if that camera control button
Yeah.
became adaptable for other apps?
Right. Imagine assigning it to trigger a voice memo.
Oh yeah.
Or even use it as a shortcut for certain actions in your favorite apps.
Mm-hmm.
The possibilities are really endless.
And those spatial photos and videos.
Oh, yeah.
Think about how they could revolutionize augmented reality.
Totally.
I mean, we've already gotten a taste of that with apps like IKEA Place,
Yeah.
where you can like visualize furniture in your own home.
Right.
But with spatial media, the level of immersion could be
Oh, it'd be incredible.
yeah.
Imagine using your iPhone to like scan a room and instantly create a 3D model,
Oh.
or like overlaying digital information onto the real world
Right.
through your
Right.
camera lens.
Mhm.
The line between the physical and the digital is definitely blurring.
We've gone from practical photography tips to pondering the future of technology.
I know, right?
I'm loving it.
It's pretty amazing.
Yeah.
It just goes to show that these new iPhones are so much more than just like a bunch of specs.
Yeah.
They're tools that can unlock creativity and really change how we interact with the world.
Okay, I think it's time to wrap up this deep dive
Yeah.
before we get too carried away.
Right.
But I think the biggest takeaway here is the power of experimentation.
Yes.
Dive into those settings, get familiar with that camera control button,
Mm-hmm.
and just see what amazing things you can create with this iPhone 16 Pro Max.
Absolutely. The best camera is the one you have with you.
Mhm.
And with these iPhones, that camera is capable of producing some seriously professional quality results.
Wow.
So, go out there, explore, and capture your unique perspective.
And that's a wrap on our deep dive into iPhone 16 Pro Max photography. We hope you walked away with some new knowledge and inspiration.
Yeah.
Now go out there and make some photographic magic.